her love of flowers, Mercedes Sarmini. How are you today?
I'm feeling very floral, fragrant, and very high.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Do you like the nice backdrop?
Oh, yes. She's
behind
got
the flowers?
Beautiful. Well, it's like a little sheep. Yeah. Mercedes is wearing a woolly jumper.
Yeah.
So woolly.
Yeah, and it's 21 years old. It's older than my eldest daughter.
Wow.
I was wearing it in a photo shoot when I was pregnant with her. So
golly
21 years later, it still fits me.
Now, today's flower is hellebore.
Yes.
And we've got some in the studio. We've got an actual plant, and we've actually got a bouquet of flowers, of hellebore flowers.
We do. And the Latin name for the listeners is Helleborus, and it comes from the Ranunculaceae family, the buttercup family. And it does have a nickname. It's got quite a few, actually. And the first is winter rose, Christmas rose, lentil rose, snow rose, and of course hellebore.
Yeah, it's funnily enough, it flowers in winter in the northern hemisphere. That's why it's got called Christmas rose, of course, because here it's not Christmas.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense, does it? Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah, indeed.
Lovely colours, huh? Green. I mean, I'm holding green.
I know, that's a very unusual colour, the green.
It is.
And the one in the studio in the pot is actually got a pale pink and lots of... I'll hold it up sideways, because one of the funny things that hellebores do is that they have nodding flowers.
They do, they do. And for the not trained eye, so if you're not a florist or a gardener, you're going to think that it's wilting, but that's how they present. That's how they look. They're thirsty suckers. It is a female, of course, so you've got to slip on the heels and no hairy legs in the vase. And what do I mean by that? No foliage in water in the vase. If you want to decrease the aging process. It is fragrant. Vase life is not so generous. It's 5 to 6 days. Native to Greece, Western China and Europe. Ethylene sensitive. It looks to be, but it's not. That's the good news. You can dry it. Skin irritations.
I've got a thing. Apparently, it's one of the 4 top poisonous plants.
Yeah. Can you believe it? She looks so inviting.
I know.
And she's just so poisonous. I've heard through the grapevine that it used to treating worms in children. And the higher the dose, of course, the more toxic.
Yeah.
And there's been fatal incidences with children who died from hellebore.
Golly.
Oh. And for the superstitious who are listening, if you dry it, because you can dry it, and then when it's dried and you grind it to a dust, it is said that if you wanted to go through, let's say, the chambers, the highest security chambers, and you want it to be invisible, just throw it ahead of you and walk through it and you will be invisible.
Golly, this is a real Harry Potter sort of phenomenon.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Now, the plant we have in the studio is looking really fantastic.
It is.
It's one of these plants that likes dry shade. So it's very important for you not to put it in a boggy place if you're growing the plant.
It would be like, so if you've got a tree and you wanted to plant something under the tree.
Like a deciduous tree especially, yes.
That would be the perfect plant in this case.
Yeah.
Just absolutely gorgeous. Where did you get this from? I mean, it's just divine. Look at the foliage on it. It's just
extremely healthy. Look, with hellebores, they're fairly easy to grow. The only thing that they need is fertilising. You don't have to do anything other than, you don't have to prune them or anything like that. You just cut the flowers. No, yeah, well, it is low maintenance. Yep, totally. And this one in the studio is hybrid. So the ones that are sold these days are hybrids. So they have very strong foliage. They grow a bit faster than the old-fashioned hellebores, which are a bit on the slow side to establish.
Right.
And they have much bigger flowers. So the flowers here would be, wow, easily.
That's gorgeous. That's just...
Gosh. at least 5
That's
centimetres
magnificent.
across. Yeah.
That looks like it's on steroids.
It does look like
Compared to the ones I'm holding.
yeah.
But
yeah.
we all love the message that cut flowers convey to us. And when it comes to Miss Helleborus, her message is all about tranquility, protection against scandal and anxiety. And she promises you a beautiful year ahead. So get some Helleborus into your vases, blossoms, if you want a good year ahead. We're approaching that, the new financial year. So if you want to avoid scandal and anxiety, all of a sudden, you know, you come into millions, and that's got to be a scandal. So you can purify that by having Helleborus around you.
Now, is there a way to increase the vase life? You said they don't last that long, the vase, but can you scald them?
Yes, good question. Yes, Miss Helleborus is one of the cut flowers that you can scald and mist. If you buy it and it looks like it really needs a holiday, so there's a difference between it really needs a holiday or it's going to the cemetery. If it's going to the cemetery, I'm using analogies here, Blossoms, you need to drown it for a minimum of 15 minutes. If it was my Helleborus, I'd be drowning her overnight because she also drinks from her flower and her foliage. And she is extremely thirsty. So I'd be watching, the vase, and I'd be topping it up. Is it edible? Absolutely not. Can I use flower food?
Can you?
No. Is it a national flower? No. Zodiac? No. Is it named after a saint? No. What about a birth flower? No. Unfortunately, she doesn't make the list. But when it comes to my list, she certainly makes the top 5 because she's just absolutely stunning. If you're after a cut flower that is going to look magnificent in your bridal bouquet, especially now that it's in the cooler months, this is certainly the cut flower to put on your bridal list.
Wow, yes, it certainly would last a long time. And the foliage itself, I notice in your bouquet, amongst the flowers, you've got the Helleborus foliage.
I mean, it's a standout. You don't really need to mix it with too many cut flowers. She does have cousins, and I'm so excited to share with the listeners who her cousins are. Anemone, Delphinium, Ranunculus, and Nigella.
Nigella. Who would have thought? Nigella.
I was surprised when I came across that. Okay. You're kidding. She really related to her. Wow. I don't want to mess with her because her cousins will come blooming after me.
Well, now listeners have no reason to leave the poor Helleborus plant on the shelf as they walk past, because this is what's happened to this plant. And it was left on the shelf, and my husband actually bought it for me, and he said, look, they've discounted all these plants because nobody knows what to do with them. So,
you got this on a disc?
Yes, I did.
Wow, good for you. That's good karma, my darling. Now, before I wrap it all up, I also want to share that for the listeners who have mother-in-laws that they don't get along with, right? There is a variety that's called Stinky Helleborus.
So you want to give her one of those, is that right?
Well, I mean, look, if she's got a cold, she's not going to know in the first greeting that it stinks. But as mother-in-law gets better, she'll be smelling more than a rat around. Indeed. Stinking Helleborus. I really want to get my hands onto that variety. I've got a few people to gift it to.
Excellent tip. Once again, Mercedes, so lovely to have you in the studio to talk about flowers.
Always a pleasure.